Menus in Photoshop are filled with quite literally hundreds of options. Believe it or not, you have some options within the program that will help you speed up your time in each of the menus. Let's go create some efficiency. The second aspect of your workspace that you can control are the menus. If you click on Edit, you can drop down here to Menus, or if you go up to a window, go to Workspace, Keyboard Shortcuts, and Menus. And up in the top here, we have a tab that says Keyboard Shortcuts, and one right below that that says Menus. Click on Menus. Now, the next drop down after the set, which is where you go to save your own custom set of menu options, is the Menu 4 drop down. Now you either have application menus, which are the file, edit, image, layer, select up at the top of the screen, or you have the panel menus, which are the ones that accompany each of the panels on the right-hand side of the screen. So we'll start with the application menus. As you can see, there are tons of options in each of the application menus. And your two options here are to turn off the option in the menu, where you can just come down here and select visibility, or alternately, you can select the color. So here, you can highlight different functions with different colors. In the case of the select menu, I'm just going to highlight everything that has to do with immediate selection and what is selected to red. All the layers options, I'm going to make orange. And then our refine and modify options, I'll make those green. Yellow tends to not show up that well when I'm recording. That's a submenu. And anyway, you get the point. So now when we hit OK, and we come up here to the select menu, now we have all different colors so we can find things relatively quickly, especially compared to when everything is white with a black text on it. So there are two things basically to guide what you hide and what you color. The features that you use constantly, that you haven't bound to a keyboard shortcut. In this case, something like color range. I use color range all the time. So click over to the edit menu, drop down to menus, and let me just switch this back to defaults. Don't save. Okay, back in the select menu. Color range, I'm going to change just the color range to red. Inverse, don't need. Reselect, don't need. Deselect, all. Those I don't need, so I'll just shut them off entirely. Modify, typically, I don't modify the smoothness, and feather I usually bring up in the panel menu, so I don't need that. Grow, I don't use. Similar, I don't use. Transform selection is Control-T for me. Edit in quick mass mode. Load selection, save selection. These, the remaining ones here I'm going to leave. Now if we hit OK, and we go back up into the select menu, look at how small that menu is. There's only a couple of options, and the one that I use the most is highlighted red. So every time I need to select a color range, for example, let's just back up this image a little bit. Every time I need to select a color range, I go up into the select menu and it's red, I go right to it. Speeds up your workflow right away. It's not a lot, but when you're considering that you're working on some of these images for 10, 12, 20, 30, 40, 50 hours, in the case usually of illustrations, you're working on things longer. Graphic design can get pretty intense as well. It's not that you'd be sitting down working on something for 20 hours straight. It's that over the course of a week, you'll come back to it, it'll go out for revision, someone will say I need these changes, and then you come back to it and you end up working on something, sometimes for 20 hours. So over the course of 20 hours going to the select menu every time trying to find the color range selector, if you highlight it red, and that's the only red thing in the entire menu, your eye will simply tell you exactly where it is. It'll save you a lot of time. Now if you do this with each of the menu items, the first thing you see is that the select menu, which is the one that we just edited, compared to all the other menus, it's almost not a menu at all. There's only a couple of items. So if you go through and you do this with every single menu and then you save your options in your workspace, you'll find that your workflow speed has increased significantly. Well, that's all for the menu selections. Please remember to comment, rate, and subscribe below. Send any questions that you might have to requests@mahalo.com. Thanks for watching.